Welcome. It is late. The world outside is quiet. You are safe. You are warm. And you are lying down. Tonight we will not talk about kings. We will not talk about battles. We will talk about something much closer to you. The bed beneath you. It is easy to forget that the bed is an invention. For most of human history there was no bed at all. There was only ground. Cold. Hard. Uneven ground. And the long slow journey to make that ground soft is the history of comfort itself. So let us go back. Far back. To a time before wood frames. Before mattresses. Before pillows. Let us go back to when sleep meant finding a small dry place and hoping the fire stayed warm. Breathe in slowly. And let us begin. For a very long time, the floor was the bed. In the oldest shelters, archaeologists find shallow hollows pressed into the earth. Inside these hollows are traces of dry grass, thin layers of leaves, small piles of straw. It was not for softness. It was for warmth. The cold from the earth would seep into your bones through the night. A layer of straw broke that cold. It created a small pocket of air between you and the ground. You would gather it in the late afternoon, before the light faded. An armful of dry grass. A handful of soft leaves. You would lay it down in your chosen corner. It would smell slightly musty, like a field after rain. It would rustle when you moved. And it was not yours alone. Everyone slept close together. The family. The small group. All in one circle around the dying embers of a fire. The fire gave a little light. It gave a little heat. And that thin pile of grass was enough to tell your body that this was the place for sleep. Over thousands of years, the pile became a mat. People learned to weave. They took long reeds, thin flexible branches, and they wove them flat. This is the first real bed in the world. A woven mat. Rough on the edges. A little uneven. But it could be rolled up. Carried on your shoulder. And laid down anywhere. If you ran your hand across it, you would feel the ridges of the weave. Firm. Slightly sharp. But compared to cold whetstone, it was a luxury. It was yours. Slowly, people wanted to be off the ground completely. The ground had dampness. It had insects that moved in the dark. It had small creatures searching for warmth. So they lifted the sleeping place. Along the Nile in ancient Egypt, people began to build low wooden frames. 4 short legs. A few wooden slats across. And then the woven mat on top. It was only a few inches high. But that small distance mattered. Air could move beneath it. It was cooler in the hot summers. It was drier during the flood season. The rich had taller frames made of dark wood. Sometimes the corners were decorated with small pieces of ivory. On top they placed a linen sheet. Linen is cool to the touch. In the heat of an Egyptian night, inside a small mud brick house where the air was still and warm, cool linen was a true gift. They also used something we still recognize but would find uncomfortable. A headrest. Not a soft pillow, but a small curved wooden stand for the neck. It kept the head slightly raised. It kept elaborate hairstyles from being crushed during sleep. You can imagine how firm it would feel. Like resting your neck on a smooth piece of wood. But it was about dignity. Even in sleep. Most people still slept on mats on the floor. Often 3 or 4 together on one wide low frame. Wrapped in simple white cloth. The oil lamp would burn low in the corner, casting a soft yellow light on the clay walls. The house would be quiet, except for the sound of breathing, slow and even. The day was done. The bed, even if it was just wood and linen, was waiting. But in the north, where the nights were cold, the bed had to do something different. It had to keep heat in, not keep heat out. In the cold regions of Europe, houses were small and drafty. The wind came through the walls. The stone floor was like ice in winter. So the bed became a box. They built wooden frames with high sides, like a large wooden crate. Inside they piled deep layers of straw. Straw is full of trapped air. And trapped air holds warmth. You would climb into this box bed. The high sides blocked the draft. Sometimes they added a simple wooden roof over the top, or heavy wool curtains that could be drawn closed. Inside, it became a small room within a room. Your breath would warm the small space. It was dark inside. Quiet. Close. And for the first time, they began to use feathers. They would gather down from ducks and geese in the autumn. Soft, light, incredibly warm. They stuffed the down into a large linen sack. This was the first duvet. The first comforter. If you have ever held a real down blanket, you know how light it is. How it seems to float. Imagine that feeling for the first time. After a lifetime of rough wool and rustling straw, to be under something that felt like a warm cloud. That small invention changed sleep in the winter completely. People began to sleep longer. Deeper. By the medieval period, a bed was the most valuable object in a house. Much more valuable than a table. More valuable than chairs. A good bed with a wooden frame, a straw mattress, and a feather cover could be passed down in a will from parent to child. It was where you slept. Where you were born. Where you rested when you were ill. And most people did not sleep alone. An entire family might share one large bed. 2 parents, 2 or 3 children, all side by side for warmth. If you were a traveler, you might pay to share a bed with a stranger at an inn. The idea of a private bedroom for one person is very new. They went to bed early. When the sun set, there was little light to work by. Candles were expensive. So they lay in the dark for a long time, talking quietly, listening to the rain on the thatch roof above. The mattress beneath them would be made of straw that needed to be fluffed each morning. If you did not fluff it, it would become flat and hard. The smell would be of dry straw, of wood smoke, of wool. It was not soft like your bed now. But it was safe. It was familiar. And when they closed the heavy curtains around the box bed, the wind outside could howl all it wanted. Inside, it was warm. So tonight, think about that slow journey. From a shallow hollow in the cave floor, to a woven mat that could be carried, to a low wooden frame in the heat of Egypt, to a closed wooden box filled with straw and feathers in the cold north. Each step took thousands of years. Each step was someone trying to make the night a little softer, a little warmer, a little safer. Your own bed is the result of all of that quiet effort. All of those nights, long ago, when someone lay on hard ground and wished it was softer. You are lying on the answer to that wish. So allow your shoulders to drop. Allow your body to feel how soft your own mattress is compared to straw and reeds. Allow your breathing to slow down. You are safe. You are warm. And the history of beds can wait. Until tomorrow. Sleep well.